welcome back to another Ruby and Spire. This is number 15. Lance! Lance, answer me! Lance, please! Keith cried. He kept his tears from flowing, but it kept happening. On the smoke of the lion, half buried into the tree and down into the soil. Lance! Karan, Allura, Slav stood frozen and wide-eyed. Pidge started screaming for Lance as she fought the other 3 lions finally coming over to view to help. Lance? Lance, come on! Answer us, Lance! Talk to me! Lance! Key cried, chest tight with panic. Lance? Lan! Answer us! Talk! Lance! Slowly coming into, Lance groaned, his head rolling as he opened his eyes. The cockpit glowing red, one of the panels on the screen flashing. Lance pushed himself up off the floor, hand on his helmet, as his head bobbing. Respond! Lance, please! You need to get up. I can't understand you, Lance muttered. Lance! At you? Oh, okay? The blue paladin grabbed the arm rest of the chair and pulled himself up. I don't understand. He breathed deeply, hissing as he attempted to push himself upright. He put pressure on his right leg. Can't hear you. I'm leaving my lion. Coming to stay that. Lance dragged himself out the cockpit and into Blue's mouth. He crawled out of her jaw, then cursed and ducked as he was shot at. Quiznack! He bolted away, skidding around trees and bushes. His leg burned, throbbing painfully with each step. Lance stopped by the river up ahead of him, so he put himself faster. Without another thought, Lance threw himself into a raging waters. The blue paladin sunk down deep into the water, the river immediately taking a hold of him and pulling him along. Lance kicked off the river floor and burst from the surface. He gasped frantically as he was yanked back under a strong current. Shit, he yelled as he broke surface again, grumbling. He was thrown onto the rock. Lance tumbled over, falling back into the water. His helmet was flung off as he hit another rock. Lance struggled against the current, lungs burning for air. He kicked up, struggled a sharp breath, then sunk back under. Lance fought with the current, grunting and grabbing, gasping as he hit another rock. Water filled his mouth and poured down his throat into his lungs. He broke to the surface again at the next boulder and clung onto it, coughing up water that made its way into his organs. He looked up, wild-eyed, as his helmet bubbled up about 4 meters away. "No!" Lance cried, leaping back into the water. Lance went with the current, stretching and pushing himself faster to grab the helmet. Ah! He snatched his helmet and held it up, reaching out for another boulder, his eyes burning at the sight at the helmet. "Oh no, 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 no," he screamed frantically, battling against the current. However, the pull tugged him closer and closer to the edge, where he saw the waterfall turning over. Lance thrashed an arm out, hooking onto the branch. He screamed as his legs were thrown over, but then the sight in relief as he now hung from the branch, free from the current. "Great," he muttered, sitting on his helmet on. Guys, I'm kinda dangling over the waterfall," Lance shouted, erupted at the impact as he pulled himself onto the branch. "Guys, hey, anyone there? Lance, the hell, that happened? Going on? I still can't understand." Lance paused, then he heard a sharp snap. He slowly looked up to where the branch met the tree. "No!" Another snap, and then the branch jerked. "No, no, no!" Lance scrambled, his heart racing as he snapped and continued, picking up pace. "No!" The branch gave before Lance could grab any other support, and he plummeted. He crashed into the water below, the force of the waterfall forcing him even deeper. A sharp pain pierced the back of his helmet as it slammed his head onto the rock. He was stumbled into another moving, and forgetting that he couldn't breathe the water. Lance gagged on the water, cracking voice muffled. He peded, kicking off the rocks. He arched his arm and kicked the water behind him until he finally broke the surface. Thus, water came swelling up from his throat. He coughed and choked. Then he finally sucked in a deep breath as his body bubbled, trying to keep his head above the surface. "Lance, are you... need you out the... from vault... Lance?" Lance swam through the cabin water until his feet couldn't touch the ground. "I just fell over a waterfall," he panted, collapsing once he reached the shore. "Fuck. Ow, shit." He pushed up with one hand and rolled himself onto his back. Lance grumbled with effort. He grabbed his left arm. "Quit now. I think it's broken." "Broke? Lance, where are... Broken. What fall? Ah! Lance clinched and gasped as he summoned loud, static ringing, filling the helmet. He tore it off and tossed it to the side. Snapping, great, he muttered, grumping up at the sky. Fighters and lions battled, wading through the clouds, and dipped down. The castle was out of sight. However, probably too far from the direction that Lance had come from. That's it, Allura shouted, storming down. I can't take this. I'm going down and I'm searching for Lance. Keith scrolled over, violet eyes wide. Me too. I'm going with you. Karan presided and grabbed Keith's arm. You can't go. And why not? Keith snapped at the Altain. Because you're pregnant, Keith, Allura answered for Karan. If you're hurt, the baby will get hurt. Would Lance want that? No, but... Keith, listen to the princess, Shiro shouted, as he dodged the blast. Keith just stared. The red paladin cleared his throat and clenched his fist. He lowered his head. Fine. Allura nodded, dashing out on the bridge. Lance? Lance, where are you? Allura called through the cupboard. Hands. Lance? The princess walked along the river side, looking for any signs of the blue paladin. She paused as she saw a broken branch. Allura rushed over to the edge. Her eyes widened. She spotted the blue paladin, swifted half away onto the water, half on the green lashed sand of the shore. Lance! She began to scramble down the cliff side until we came to the shore and climbed down. Allura snapped into a deep breath, then leapt off the ledge down onto the deep water. Once she came up, she pleaded over to Lance. Lance? Lance, can you hear me? Allura said, out of the water. Once she was whisked deep, she fell to her knees beside Lance and patted his cheek. Lance groaned at the Altain and silently. Thank Voltron, she muttered, stroking the matted of his hair back. Let's get you back to the castle before things get worse. Keith paced back and forth, chewing anxiously on his thumb nail. The others sat nearby, watching. It's good that Lotor retreated when he did, Matthew muttered from his spot between Shiro and Hunk. Pidge stood up and made her way to Keith. He stopped as she placed a hand on his shoulder. Come on, sit down and breathe. You're going to stress out the baby. The red paladin slowly nodded and let her lead him over and sat. Keith tightened and hugged Lance's jacket tighter around himself. He leaned on Shiro as the older man gently wrapped his arm around Keith's shoulders. He'll be okay, Keith. He's going to be out in a few ticks. Keith nodded. I know. I can't help it. Hormones are starting to just... Shiro chuckled and rubbed Keith's arm. I just need him out of the pod. The others laughed softly. Pidge leaned on Keith. Hunk sighed and slumped. Cran tapped his foot, while Allura figured with her hands, basically playing with her hands. The mice squeaked softly. gathered around Allura. "Hey, Pidge," Keith muttered, looking down at her. The green pad and hummed, tilting her head. She didn't look up. "Yeah? Do you think you could build something so Lance and I could, I don't know, see the baby?" Pidge blinked, then furrowed her brows as looked up at him. "Who fuck do you think I am? Of course I could. I need some help from Hunk and maybe Matt, but I could do it." Keith smiled at her. "Thanks." She grinned. "No problem." A sudden hiss from the pod drew everyone's attention. Keith shot to his feet too fast and scrambled over. Lance groaned as he embraced the tightly and then sighed and relaxed into it. "Hey, Keith." Keith shook his head and buried his face into Lance's shoulder. "I was so scared, Lance." The blue pattern smiled softly, slowly wrapping his arms around Keith. "I'm sorry. I won't do it again. You promise?" "I promise. Mi cuore." That means my darling. Anyway, I hope you guys liked that one. I hope that was clear. Alright,
Have you
bye.
seen my phone?